Hello, marvelous Econ students. Today is your first lesson in regular economics. I'm going to take you to a real handy source known as the Economics University. It's an online textbook, answers most of your questions about anything economics. So, this is the address, refonomics.com. Once you're there, you're going to want to scroll down to basic concepts to start. And we're going to look at some of the most basic of basic concepts today. We're going to ask the question, what is economics? Now you of course can go to this website and scroll through any of this yourself, but I wanted you to see and have an idea of just how to go through this. When we define economics, we're going to have to use two terms that you may be familiar with, but maybe not in an economic sense. So let's go through those real quick. A good and a service. A good is something tangible. That means you can touch it, feel it, see it, all those things. And this tangible good satisfies people's wants and desires. A service, on the other hand, is intangible. You can't touch the service that is being provided, such as the service that a teacher provides, the service that a nurse provides, the service that an airline pilot provides. The airplane itself is tangible. The act of driving you, or flying you in this case, from point A to point B, intangible. So therefore, an airline pilot provides a service. Lockheed Martin, which builds airplanes, provides a good. So look through this in a little more detail. Here's some examples. Think about whether the photo describes a good or service, and then you can go to the website and run your mouse over the photo to see the correct answer. Now that you know the difference between a good and a service, we ask the question, what is it that individuals want? What is it they desire? The answer in economics is we want everything. All our wants are unlimited. We want food, water, good grades, haircut, money, a home, groceries, furniture, pictures on our wall, car, relationship, happiness, children. We want to breathe, one more breath. We want. The list is endless. So what is the definition of economics? Economics is the study of how individuals and society experiencing virtually limitless wants choose to allocate its scarce resources to satisfy those wants. A little bit deeper, it's the study of how individuals and society experiencing virtually limitless wants choose to allocate the scarce resources to satisfy those wants. So what does all this mean? It means you're going to study how individuals in society make decisions about what they want. The decisions and how they are made is really what we're looking at in economics. What resources are used and how they're allocated is the next big question. This, along with some other questions that we ask in economics, leads us to the study of economics. Something is scarce if there's a limited amount of it. Well, what in this earth of ours is limited? Everything. Every resource is limited. Every resource, every tree, every grain of sand, every shed of light, everything is limited. And our wants are unlimited. And so it's like they're duking it out, and we have to come to some sort of agreement to use our resources for those wants that we want the most. And so this is the idea of the cost. Nothing is free. Nothing is free in economics. The way we think about resources is that there's a cost for all of them, whatever it may be. And we may test your knowledge on this, or your doubts or suspicions or cynicism on this fact in class. But just to give you an example, the best question I've ever had from a student was, what about thinking? Isn't thinking free? And the student is right in saying that there's no monetary cost, just as there's no monetary cost to come to school. But is there some other cost? Is there a social, emotional? or jealousy cost? Is there something else you could be doing besides coming to school? While there may not be a monetary cost to coming to school, is it costing you the opportunity to sleep in, or to have a daytime job, or to do something else that you'd like to do? And that way, there is a cost for coming here, for coming to school. Take you back to the example a student asked about one time of thinking. Thinking would seem to not cost much of anything. You could maybe say energy that it takes to think, but if you're thinking about one thing, like maybe you're thinking about this topic right now, it means you can't be thinking about what you're going to do this weekend. So you're giving out the opportunity to think about what you're going to do this weekend by thinking about this very subject. So in that way, economists get a little bit, might call it a little bit picky on some details, but it's important just to have in your mind that in economics, nothing is free. And we'll talk about some other unusual ways of thinking too in this class, and that becomes known as the economic way of thinking. What you give up in order to experience or satisfy a want in providing a good or service whenever you use a resource is called an opportunity cost. And in economics, we study how to satisfy our limited wants, our unlimited wants with our limited resources, and the costs are known as opportunity costs. So simply stated, economics is the study of scarcity. So economics is the same as scarcity, and moving on, the definition of scarcity is when wants are greater than limited resources or available resources to satisfy those wants, and that's always the case. The mathematical definition is, since economics is scarcity and scarcity is wants are greater than available resources, then it all works out that way. Economics is the study of our wants being greater than our resources. This is what you should remember. What are these resources that we want? They're categorized in economics. We have 4 basic categories. Land, which is a scarce resource because there's only a limited amount of it available. The payment for land is known as rent or mortgage. The second, or some examples of land, some categories that would be categorized as land include air, water, raw materials, anything that was here prior to us human beings being here, or would be without us here, is considered a natural resource, is how I want you to think of land. Timber, copper, iron ore, other productive materials. But once we take the timber down and turn it into a 2x4, it's no longer a natural resource. After we do that, it becomes another type of category, a human-made one, made by laborers. So labor is anybody, any human resource that is used to produce a good or service. They possess human capital, which would be the skills and knowledge that they possess. A doctor possesses certain skills and knowledge to operate. An iron worker possesses certain skills and knowledge to weld or even walk on an I-beam. Teachers possess specific knowledge in their subject area or how to motivate children, that sort of thing. These are all examples of laborers and their human capital. And the limited number of individuals who are willing and able to work makes that category of labor also a limited resource. The payment for labor would come in the form of a salary or wages or tips or what you'd get if you sold cars and you got a percentage out of selling so many cars. What's that called? That's right, commission. Misspelled that one. We've still got another category of resources, capital. Now we just mentioned something called human capital. Human capital is skills and knowledge that labor possesses. Capital in economics is not this type of capital. We're not talking about the Capitol building. We're not even talking about what is called some in finance classes as financial capital. What we're talking about is in economics, capital that is human-made, tools, physical capital is another way to say it. Anything used to produce a good or a service. So the carpenter doesn't want the hammer necessarily uh, for the hammer's sake. He wants the hammer so he can build the house. So it's what the tool is used to produce. We don't want the factory. We want what the factory is going to produce. We don't want the machinery. We want the road that the machinery is going to help build. That sort of thing. So physical capital includes human-made goods used to produce other goods and services. The payment for capital would be considered the principal or interest that is paid over a long time to have it. Entrepreneurship. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is anyone willing to take a risk to start a business. Now, why do they do this? Did Steve Jobs start Microsoft and Apple? Apple, rather. I was thinking about the other big computer innovator. Who was that? Innovator? Not Steve Jobs. Bill Gates. But neither one of these fellows started their company so that we could have computers. It's great that they did. It's great that we have these options available to us, these resources, but the reason they started their companies was to make a profit. And in doing so, maybe they're happy to provide people with computers, but their main motivation is a profit. And so entrepreneurs are people willing to take a risk, invest their own money or wealth or resources or time, land, labor, and capital in order to make a profit. Now, this is why they do it. They do it to make a profit. Now, they can only do this if what they're offering or the good or service is what people want. If they're not so good, they're going to produce a loss, and they won't stick around very long. And that's the nature of a market working its way to allocate the goods and services that we want and getting rid of the ones we do not want. So a profit is kind of the way of distinguishing the good services or goods against the bad ones, the ones that we don't want. So we don't want we don't want to use labor towards something people don't want. So the entrepreneur goes out of business. It ends up working itself out. So we think of profit as not a dirty word, but a beautiful one. And that's it. Here's a little review. Hope this helped. Give me some feedback on email or on the forum post on eLearn. And have a good day.